Can you inflation-proof your savings? I've got 4 low-risk ways to bank better and make the most of your savings. Rising inflation is dominating financial headlines. With the current jump in consumer prices, it has gotten harder to stretch that dollar at the grocery store, the gas station, everywhere. It's also tougher to keep savings from losing value. Get this, if you placed $100 in savings last year, after taking into account the current inflation rate and the current average savings yield, that same $100 is worth closer to $92 today. And so, no wonder one of the top questions from audience members is this: Farnoosh, are there ways to save and outpace inflation right now? Well, sadly, no. For that, you would want to look into investing long-term in the stock market, and I hope you are. But if you want to save in a more liquid way, in a relatively low-risk way, and earn more than the average savings rate of 0%, here are 4 strategies that won't beat inflation, but they can definitely help with the sting. First up, high-yield accounts. Some newer digital accounts are financial institutions or neobanks offering higher savings rates of 2 to 4%, which again, it's not outpacing inflation, but is far better than average. For example, Current announced earlier this year a new high-yield savings account called Interest that provides users a 4% annual percentage yield. My pro tip is this: consider these types of accounts for a savings goal in the next 6 to 12 months. Be careful parking your emergency money here, as neobanks tend to be part of limited ATM networks, and your money may be harder to access in real life in a pinch. Also, make sure the neobank has FDIC insurance, so if the bank goes under, your money is safe. Second, consider accounts with sign-up bonuses. In an effort to boost business and bring in new accounts, some banks are offering sign-on bonuses and what are called welcome perks for new checking account customers. For example, the Chase Total checking account provides a $225 account bonus when you fund a new account via direct deposit. Pro tip here, be sure to follow any rules related to account minimums or auto deposits to avoid monthly fees. If you can't meet these minimums, then the sign-up bonus may not be worth the cost of maintaining this account. Third, I-bonds. These are relatively secure government-backed investments sold directly to public that tracks your cash alongside inflation. The current I-bond savings rate is 7.12%, not bad, and is calculated using a fixed rate and an inflation rate that's figured out twice a year. These accounts are not very liquid. You have to stick with the account for at least 1 year, and while you can withdraw your money after that, you risk forfeiting the final 3 months of earned interest by doing so. Now, after 5 years, you can totally take your money out without penalty. My pro tip here is to park cash here that you plan to use for the medium term, things like home down payment or a car that you need in a couple of years, things that you foresee needing in the next 3 to 5 years. And keep in mind that the limit on I-bonds is $10,000 per year. Any money you won't need for 5 years or more may be able to afford more risk and might make sense to invest that money in the stock market. Lastly, consider Treasury inflation-protected securities, or TIPS for short. These are popular bond instruments during periods of high inflation. Why? Because it follows the rate of inflation and adjusts twice a year. It's also a government-backed bond, so your investment will never lose its original value, even if inflation goes in the opposite direction. TIPS are usually an add-on to retirement portfolios, but you can certainly avoid transaction costs by buying them directly from the U.S. Treasury Department, and they sell them in 5, 10, and 20-year maturities. Pro tip, go easy. Leave your emergency savings in an FDIC insured savings account that is liquid, accessible. Consider TIPS only for some of your additional savings that you don't think you're going to need for at least 5 years. Now, in an effort to cool the economy and lower inflation, good news, the Federal Reserve says it's committed to raising interest rates. That's good news for savers. It may mean that we'll have higher yields down the road in the future. But in the meantime, and as always, you can stick with us here at CNET Money for more savings advice. If you have more inflation-related money questions or any money questions, be sure to drop us a note below. And if you like these videos, please like, subscribe, and share. For CNET Money, I'm Farnoosh Torabi.